Now we can start. So the NZXT H500 was one of my favorite mid-towers of all time, well-priced, nice compact form factor, beautiful design, and all the updates that come with the H510 series and the 10 rollouts for the refreshes are pretty awesome.
The Masterfan series from Cooler Master has now received a fresh new look with a square frame design to generate high-pressure airflow and silent operation. The fans feature this beautiful addressable RGB illumination, and you can pick it up in 120, 240, and 360mm variants. Learn more in the description down below.
Now, if you guys recall, the first Elite case NZXT has put out was the S340 Elite, and that felt like a really good upgrade over the traditional S340 with tempered glass side panel, the NZXT Pug, a new I/O, a new SSD mount. But this Elite feels a little bit underwhelming, which is why I think this is going to be the least popular H500 series enclosure moving forward. So this case is priced at $149 in the global market and $169 in the US. Ouch. A more affordable option is the regular H510 for $69 or the H510i that includes the smart device V2 and the LED strip for $99. And so the $50 premium on the Elite versus the H510i gets you those front fans, which are 140mm Air RGB2, which sell for a hefty amount on their own. So if you want the H510 plus you were thinking of buying fans, this is the way to go. You're saving a little bit of money. But I get it. This is the perfect way to showcase the front panel TG integration on an NZXT enclosure. They finally joined the club of multi-side tempered glass, and given that it is removable, I am sure that they're cooking up something with mesh panel to get additional exposure on the case when they decide to update it even further. Maybe H510 mesh or something like that. Alright, so this refresh includes several other changes aside from the front TG panel. So the I/O has shrunk to a single USB 3 port that is purple, which is cool, a power button, a Type-C Gen 2, and a combo audio jack with a super cheap headphone adapter that is half red for some reason. I do appreciate the front panel combo connector that has a splitter adapter in case it doesn't fit your motherboard. I do find it strange that the Elite version does not come with the top exhaust fan, and thus there's no dust filter here either, unlike on all of the S340s and H500 cases. So for your exhaust, you only get the rear 120mm. The front bracket supports up to a 280mm rad, and apparently the bracket is now slightly closer to the front with the same ventilation on the right side that is fully covered with this thin dust filter and with a MIDI one at the bottom too. I love the simplicity of the TG mount, but both the front and the side panels wobble at the bottom a little bit, which for a $69 case, I would say whatever, it's fine. But when you're paying $149 for the Elite version, it doesn't feel like it's much Elite in the premium quality department. So it's the same frame as the cheap cases or the cheaper versions, but with more bling attached to them. Also, the PCI slot section has no thumb screws, which I find weird, and the motherboard tray is a bit wavy. The mesh on the PSU shroud is now all uniform to complement the updated SSD caddies. We only have two at the back that can be relocated anywhere on the shroud, even rotated if that suits your build, and the rest of the interior remains unchanged. That iconic cable cover looks fantastic to add a bit of complexity and functionality to hide whatever passes from that rear section. Here we also see this smart device V2 that is SATA powered and must be connected via USB so you can control fan speed and color of the LED strip via CAM software. The good thing is you don't necessarily need to log in to configure fans and your LED strips. You can still do that in the guest mode, and upon restart it still remembers all your settings. The air fans look pretty decent with non-circular frame lighting, and thankfully they're completely centered. The LED strip that's built into the roof is now fully hidden by the blackout section of the side panel, but I'm surprised at how dim it is. It's not obnoxious, but I prefer to have a bit more spill on the interior. Behind the case is a really nice cable management system with multi-channel pieces before the main opening, and a really helpful corner section for CPU and fan cables, for example. Finally, the PSU section houses the hard drive cage with... I'm surprised to not see any drive caddies in there. This was the issue with S340, the S340 Elite, the H500, and the H510 Elite now too. At least the power supply is covered with an accessible bottom dust filter. And I keep saying this, the frame is good for $69, but for $149, let's hope the cooling is subpar too. Time to build. Alright, so seeing nothing is different on the interior versus the original H500, it's still very easy to work in, cables tuck away behind the bar, the power cables for the GPU exit at the right spot, and the lack of the top fan actually makes connecting the 8-pin CPU cable very simple, which is nice, and given the compact nature of the frame, motherboards up to ATX are supported. As for cooling, so this is interesting. At stock, it's not outstanding with pretty average CPU temperatures and good GPU cooling, but opening that front panel drops our CPU temps by almost 8 degrees Celsius. That is significant, and the reason why I feel like NZXT might release a mesh panel, because this thing is removable, so they might release the mesh that you might potentially buy as an accessory, or there'll be a different mesh version of the enclosure. I don't know, we'll see. I also added a top exhaust fan to show it was a mistake for NZXT to remove it from the Elite, as we dropped 5 degrees Celsius versus stock. And the fact that the H510i, H510, the S340, the S340 Elite all had dual fans for exhaust, obviously that helps with cooling significantly around the CPU area. I'm puzzled as to why they didn't include it on the Elite here. And so my conclusion for this case really ties back to the intro. It's underwhelming, despite having the 2 blink fans in the front. The glass execution looks fantastic, despite the little wiggles at the bottom. It still carries forward that whole original S340/H500 character, boxy, simple, minimalistic, yet super elegant. And I feel like the regular H510 would be a lot more popular versus the H510i or the Elite, for example, because of price point. $69 versus $99 or $149. But I would love to hear what you think about the Elite and its features. Do you think the $50 premium adds value because of these 2 front fans, or is this something that you would most likely populate your own lighting and your own fans and configure accordingly? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dimitri, and yeah, I'll talk to you in the next video.